Well, hello, and a warm welcome back to another week on the allotment. Beautiful sunrise this morning. It's Saturday, unusually. We're going to meet Charlotte and Carl for a Mother's Day lunch tomorrow. So I've been given a pass for Saturday, unusually. So, it's quite cold. It's down around 0. I was just about to go to bed last night and I checked the weather forecast, and all my tomatoes have been put out into the greenhouse now, and I thought, oh, that's a bit dangerous after all that, sowing and pricking out and all the rest of the paraphernalia that goes with it. So I went out into the greenhouse in the dark last night and moved all the tomatoes into the conservatory, and I think it was probably a good move. Anyway, I really must start by saying another thank you to Danny at the Grow Up Garden. I've had nearly 200 subscribers in the last 2 weeks. I've done 6 years of videos, and in 2 weeks Danny has managed to massively improve my subscriber base. So a very warm thank you to Danny again, and to all of you who've joined me. Because of that, I hope my long-term subscribers will forgive me if I just lay out in 1 minute to the new people who've arrived on the channel that this year we are in the process, in fact it started at the beginning of December last year, of selling our house and buying a new house in Herefordshire. It's proving a painful, protracted, frustrating process, and it's still no closer to fruition, but it is our ambition. We are trying hard to make it happen, and so what will happen is that my growing will move over the next 12 months or so to this new garden, if it happens. But there's only one way to run this allotment, and that is to assume that I'm staying here, because until such time as we exchange contracts, I am staying here. So it's a very frustrating time. It's quite difficult to plan and to grow fruits and veg when you're doing what we're doing. But anyway, that's the state of play, so that you know, and you're on board with what I'm trying to do if I mention it in the commentary. So anyway, I've got all day up here, the fire is on, the sunrise is spectacular, the plot is looking neat and tidy. So I'm going to start with a brew, and then I'll take you around the site and show you what's been going on. Well, since January, February time, this little shelf on my gate, the gate serves absolutely no purpose other than for me to lean against when I look down the plot. I had snowdrops to begin with in February, and they looked lovely. When the snowdrops had gone over, I replaced them with the miniature daffodils tete-a-tete. They've now gone over, and I've replaced them with these rather attractive looking tulips. I mean, anyone who doesn't love tulips, I mean, how can you not? They are just the most beautiful flowers, and they're very fleeting. They'll be in and gone within 2 weeks, but for that 2 weeks they are the most beautiful things in the garden and on the allotment. And I'm going to blow my own trumpet. I think it's a little stroke of genius, this display. Not sure what I'll replace it with in the summer, and if the move happens I'll be busy moving, so I don't think this will get a priority, but just for now it is lovely, and I really do enjoy it. When I come out the shed, I look down the plot through whatever's on display on this gate. My picnic area with this lovely circular bench is my favourite place to be in the summer, but right now it's got my peas on because I'm trying to find places to sow the peas where the mice can't get at it. I'm sure if the mice knew these were up here they'd be on them, but so far the pea seeds are still in the gutters, and you can see what happens to the daffodils and the snowdrops once they come off the gate display. They're stored around the back here, and I think this is a really good idea with spring bulbs. Keep them in pots and you can move them around the garden, and they're only on display when the flowers are out. So when they go over and they look as ragged as these, you just move them out the way, stick them out the way somewhere that you can't be seen in the garden, and it keeps the garden looking fresh. I think it's a good idea. More of that. Yeah, so these troughs have been up in the back garden at home on the patio, and of course, you know, the flowers have gone over now, so they come up here and I hide them somewhere out of the way on the allotment, and they hopefully they go to the new garden next year, but it's hard to keep the faith. And as if I haven't got enough onion sets on the plot, I thought I needed some more. So I'm going to plant these today. And of course, our weekly offering for the compost heap, another bag of shredded documents. It's almost as if we're holding all of MI5 and MI6 archive documents. The way my wife is obsessed with shredding. I've got a feeling there's a few cookbooks in here. You know, as a fella, you just have to fight the wars you can win, and this ain't one of them. This is every week. On the subject of the house move, or the lack of, I've changed my mind on the greenhouse. We had our, you know, the solicitor said we were aiming for sometime around the 10th of March to exchange contracts. Well, that's been and gone, and you know, there's nothing happening. So I've changed my mind, and you know, I'd cleared out the greenhouse, I'd cleaned out the shed, the back garden was pretty much ready for the move, but I've moved everything back into the greenhouse. You know, we're not moving anytime soon, so you know, the greenhouse is only a 6x6, but it's invaluable to me at this time of year for sowing seeds and pricking out and so on and so forth. So everything's gone back into the greenhouse, and it's absolutely chock-a-block again, just like it is every year. And it's quite a relief to me, actually, that especially with these cold mornings, you know, the seedlings have got to be protected from the frost. So yeah, I changed my mind on the greenhouse, and it's all in full production now. I can't believe what I'm about to tell you, but this week I actually watered these onions. It's still March, albeit the last weekend. But it occurred to me we haven't had any rain through the whole of March. You know, a little bit of drizzle here and there, but nothing significant. Most of the days have been dry, blue sky, no wind. It's been spectacular. But it does mean that the ground is dry. That the beds that haven't been watered are now cracking. So I thought, I know it's March and I'm going to look a bit daft, but I gave this bed a really good soaking because I don't want these to bolt come the summer. Whether that makes any difference, I have no idea. But today I'm going to water the garlic as well, and wherever I put those onions in. We bought this peony called Alexander Fleming last summer in the garden centre in Chepstow. It produced one very large blousy pink flower, and of course, because I keep saying it, because we're moving, I took it out the pot in the back garden and I brought it up here, and it's lovely to see the shoots coming through. So maybe we'll get more than one flower this year. Although these garlic were put in October, it's amazing, through the winter they've really thickened up. You think they'd sit there dormant, establishing roots, but they have really put on some growth. And I think they'll run away now. Well, as always, I like to lighten the mood with a little humour and completely useless information. In no particular order, Cristiano Ronaldo's full name is Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro. He was named after Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan's chief of staff was Donald Reagan. Between 2002 and 2010, 335 people visited A&E. Sorry, I'm reading ahead of myself. Visited A&E in America with pubic hair grooming injuries. The mind boggles. Put that razor away. Oh dear. New Yorkers. That's, oh, I don't know. Now as queer as folk. New Yorkers bite 25 times more Americans than sharks do. A 1998 health and safety report in Queensland, Australia, advised against placing any part of one's body in the mouth of a crocodile. Thank God for these experts who rule our lives, eh? What would we do without them? In Queensland, pet rabbits are illegal. I think that's because they've got a problem with wild feral rabbits, isn't it? I don't know. In Melbourne, singing an obscene ballad is punishable by 6 months in prison. Jesus. Oh, for my dear old dad's sake, it's a good job that law isn't over here. When people first came to Australia 40,000 years ago, the land was covered with tropical forests, brimming lakes and snow-capped mountains. The inflexible gloves that astronauts wear caused their fingernails to fall out. The doomed Hindenburg airship was equipped with a cigarette lighter. It was chained to a table in the smoking room. When the aircraft you're travelling on is full of highly flammable gas, you think they might manage without a smoking room, wouldn't you? Incredible. Flak is an abbreviation of the German word Fliegerabwehrkanone, pilot warding off cannon. I'm sure I've not pronounced that right. Black lace weaver spiders increase their chances of survival by eating their mother before leaving the nest. There's gratitude. The average Briton thinks there are 25 times as many teenage mothers as there actually are. A new law in China in 2013 means citizens could face jail if they don't visit their parents. Seems a bit steep. The average British woman owns 22 items of clothing that she never wears. For 214 years since 2012, for 214 years until 2012, it was illegal in Paris for women to wear trousers. That's incredible, isn't it? So if you went to Paris in 2010 and you were wearing a pair of trousers, you were breaking the law. Women's size 14 trousers are 4 inches bigger at the waist today than they were in the 1970s. That's amazing, isn't it? The first heart pacemaker had a battery that was wheeled around in a cart. In 1961, a Soviet surgeon in Antarctica became the first person to successfully remove his own appendix. Oh, on that tasteless note, I think we'll finish. Right, it's too warm in this shed, I'm not getting any work done. This time of year I usually conduct my annual asparagus ritual, which is bending over for minutes at a time trying to spot the first spears of asparagus, and there we have it. Probably doesn't show up on the camera, but there and there, and there's one on the other side of the bed. So the asparagus is on its way up, and next week the temperatures are up around 20 degrees C, so I might get an earlier harvest than normal this year. It's usually about the 3rd week of April. We shall see, but that's a good sign. Interesting how the brown onions are more advanced than the red, and they both went into that tray at the same time on the 15th of March. And I'm keeping in line with Charles Dowding's calendar, so I have some multi-sown spring onions. The leeks, I'll be due to re-sow some more soon, and then some multi-sown radish. I've done that once before, I think. I'm not very successful with radish. In the summer they bolt, and in the early or the spring and the autumn they get eaten by the slugs. But ever hopeful. Maybe this year will be different. Maybe it won't. Another good job completed. Onion sets stewer on, sown on the 15th of March and planted today the 29th of March. Watered in, labelled, over to them. Well, that's me, I'm done. Even though I say so myself, the plot is looking excellent. Very, very neat. I don't think I've ever had it this weed free. Maybe that's because we've had a month of dry weather and the weed seeds just haven't germinated. Maybe I've got that further down the road. But it's nice that the weather is complying and playing ball. In fact, I've misjudged these water butts that feed off the shed, or the sheds. I've been emptying them because they keep overflowing through the winter. Well, of course, during March we haven't had any rain, so they're all four of them are empty. So I got that badly wrong. Anyway, it's all looking very good. And as I walk around the plot, you know, I've showed you the asparagus spears just starting to break the surface. I've got a dahlia in a pot that's got signs of new growth. I have to be careful with the frost with that. You know, the trees are budding and you can see the blossom just about to start to break. It's a wonderful time in a garden and on the allotment. Everything is full of promise of the season ahead. And I have to say, as far as I'm concerned personally, it's very mixed emotions. I love my allotment. It really is a source of great joy to me that I can come up here, grow our food and just be here. Also gives my wife a break from what must be an incredibly irritating husband. Well, I can say that. She tells me that. That's exactly what I am, a very irritating husband. So that's the positive side. The negative side is the utter frustration at this house moving thing. Everybody warned us. Everybody warned us. My daughter, she bought a flat. She wasn't involved in any chain at all, and that still took 5 months. And we're not at the 5-month point yet. So, you know, I would guess we've still got at least another month to go. And of course, every week that passes is another opportunity for somebody in the chain to drop out and say, no, I've changed my mind, and it'll all fall apart. And of course, everyone tells me you've got to be positive, you've got to be positive. Well, my experience is being positive doesn't change a bloody thing. Anyway, I'll do my best, honest. Anyway, the plot's looking great. The house thing, you know, you'll know when there's any news, either way, bad or good. Probably be around next weekend. And again, a big thank you to all those who've come over from Danny's channel and joined mine. I hope you stick around. And it'll be an exciting year, whatever happens. So thanks for joining me. I hope your garden and allotment are doing well. And I shall see you next week, I guess. Until then, look after yourselves, take care, and bye for now.